The journey to self-love begins with a leap of courage, a willingness to move through discomfort and uncover what you truly want. If you made it here, you already taken that leap. This is a safe space where we dive deep into self-discovery, empowerment, and the beauty of embracing your authentic self. So welcome to Ripping Out the Layers. Hey.
What's up? This your girl Charlie. Welcome back to Ripping Out the Layers. And I'm so glad that y'all here with me. So, how y'all feeling today? You know what I'm saying? How your heart feeling today? You know, I'm feeling real good. I'm feeling full. You know, I took my walk. I got to do my morning walk. When I do my morning walk, it almost like it just grounds me and gets me back into my zone. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? Like the stillness during the walk, like not the stillness, the quietness, because I don't listen to music. I don't do nothing. I just walk and just be with nature. So anyways, I know it's been a while. So let me rewind, take it back to tell y'all what's been going on with me. So I was in this like transition. I was in Des Moines, Iowa. Can you believe it? Des Moines, Iowa. Like my journey took me to Des Moines, Iowa. If somebody would have told me, hey, you're going to be over there in Des Moines, Iowa, going back and forth from Nashville to Des Moines, I'd be like, what? Who? What is Des Moines? What is Iowa? You know, but I met some amazing people in Iowa, some divine connections. I learned so much about myself. It almost like, you know what? I need to do a video about my whole experience in Des Moines. Man, it was, I loved it. So, I was just doing my transition and coming back to Nashville full time. And so I was just getting all that together. Y'all know how it is with moving and stuff like that. And so I'm finally settled down, you know, feeling good, adjusting back, and here I am. So while I was in Des Moines, I'll say, what was it? It was like 2 months ago. And I did a podcast. I was a guest on one of my sister's podcasts, Fist Pump Sister. You can find her on Instagram, TikTok, Fist Pump Sister. I'm gonna put her information in here. But she invited me on her show, and while I was on there, she was asking me about, you know, my journey, like what kickstarted like my me doing self-love, you know, me being focused on self-love, awareness, and different things like that. And I thought about it, I was like, hold up, I ain't really just told my story about like what really kickstarted like, you know, my journey and, you know, starting in self-love and different things, like we're really honing in about my journey. So I want to talk about that today. So that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about my journey and how it started and how I got to where am right now. So I started thinking, I'm like, what was happening in my life when my journey really began? And I think when I think about that, I think about like what was the pivotal moment. And so my pivotal moment was around the time when my daughter was 2 and she just turned 10. So she was 2. And at this point, I'm still in this toxic relationship that y'all know when they be talking about how the relationship be draining the life force out of you. Yeah, the life force was being drained. And it was almost like I'm welcoming it, I'm allowing it. And so, and during this moment, there was a big blowout, and this blowout, it was bad. And so I remember it's almost like everywhere in the midst of the chaos, it was silent. And it was like I was having this out of body experience. And I remember looking over in the midst of the chaos, and I seen my daughter, and she was like anxious, and I could just feel her energy. I was just like, okay, I can't keep doing this. You know, it's one thing to be in a situation and I'm putting myself through it, you know, But but I'm putting my daughter through it. Oh hell no. And then there's been 2 years of, it was like, no, I got to do better. I got to do better for myself. Not only for myself, I got to do better for my child. And so it was in that moment I was like, I can't do this. And then as I began journaling, and honestly, at this point, I wasn't really even journaling like that, but journaling has always been my outlet. And so I began journaling again, and the question came up about self-love. It was like, what is self-love? And I was like, what's self-love? And I just wrote this whole thing about self-love. And then I started asking my peoples, my friends and anybody, not even just people I ain't know. I was like, what's self-love? And they was like, they were having a hard time answering it. A lot of people have a hard time answering what is self-love, what does self-love look like for them. But if you ask them about loving somebody else, they got the answers. They got the answers. They know how to love everybody else. But when it comes to self-love, it's always, oh, I put myself last and this and that. Like it's honorable. You know what I'm saying? It's just, that's another topic. But that is what came up. And so I really started looking within myself and looking at like, dang, how did I get here? You know what I'm saying? How did I get here? What has been going on in my life that got me to this point that where I'm at? And in this moment, I'm like, how did I get here? And so when I really started being honest with myself and looking back, I started seeing the patterns of no boundaries. I started seeing patterns where I'm saying yes when I really want to say no, where I'm ignoring my body like, no, something ain't right. And I'm like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Just not listening to myself. And so I had to be real with myself and first get myself out of that situation. And so I moved. I moved and it was just me and my daughter and just really getting that space to where I could like unpack. And I didn't even know what I was doing, but let me tell you, in that moment, my mom had owned a healthcare agency, and I was seeing one of her clients. Mind you, I'm a social worker, you know what I'm saying? And so at that point, I was seeing clients for her. And so one of the clients, the worker had called out, so I went over there, and this particular lady, I don't know what. God be placing people in your path and stuff. But I swear, anytime before I left my daughter's father, anytime some stuff went down and I went to that lady's house, next thing you know, she started telling me stories. I'm like, what is she'll tell me like her own personal experience, but her own personal story, it always relate to what I just went through. And I used to just be like, what is going on? And so I used to be surprised whenever she just started talking, but it was like she could feel when something was wrong. And I remember one time we just sitting there, I'm over here helping her organize stuff, and she's like, out the blue, she was like, "He not gonna change." I was like, "What is she talking about?" Y'all know them older. I was like, "What is she talking about?" So I didn't say nothing, I never told her anything about what was going on with me. It was just like, I don't know, she could sense it, see it on my face. I don't know. But I was just like, just taking it in, listening. And so to fast forward, like she was going through hospice. It got to a point she was going through hospice. And at this point I had already left and I'm just trying to like get myself together. And I remember this is transitioning into talking about how my spiritual gifts, some of my spiritual gifts. And when I think about my spiritual gifts, just as long as I can remember when I was younger, I've always known things, and I can't really explain it. I just know. It's like almost like, boom, drop it in her crown. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, how I know that? And now I've always been a dreamer, and where I dream things and like prophetic dreams, and since I was little. And so, but what's crazy though, during that time, like, shit, you might as well call it a cloudy time or something. During that time when, before I decided to choose me, I wasn't dreaming like that. I wasn't dreaming like that. It would be like little spurts or something. It's almost like a cloud was over me because I was in a clouded situation or something. And imagine like 10 years, not really, like your gift is like muted in a sense or something. So anyways, I end up, after I left and stuff, it was like my gifts just like, whew, you know what I'm saying? It was like almost like you got away from all the cloud, all the cloud of negativity that was surrounding me. I was away from it. And then next thing you know, it's like, ooh, I started dreaming. I started like, everything started coming to me. So Miss Williams, that's her name, Miss Williams, that older lady, Miss Williams, man, R.I.P. Oh, so Miss Williams, she was going through hospice. And so it was like any day now. And so whenever I would go to her house, I'm driving, so I'm driving, I'm on my way to her house. Next thing you know, I'm crying. I'm like, I ain't ready. I'm like, the hell going on? I'm talking about never fails. Every time I'm going on my way to her house, that would be happening. And I was like, what is going on with me? So I had hit up my homegirl. I call her my OG in Florida. I hit her up and I was like, yo, something ain't right. Every time I'm going to this lady house, you know what I'm saying? I start crying, talking about I ain't ready. I'm like, what the hell going on? Next thing you know, she was like, you an empath medium. I was like, what? What the hell is an empath medium? What is that? Basically she put a name to something that I've already been experiencing. She told me that. And that's when I really was like, oh, now I understand what was going on. So whenever I was on my way to see her, it was almost like I was tapping into her energy, and she was like going in and out, because she was in hospice. And once I realized what was going on, I was able to actually like understand how to navigate that. Let me say that. And so she was assisting me, my homegirl in Florida, she was assisting me on how, to navigate that. But that was my first time really experiencing like, oh, okay, so this is for real. And then on top of that, I started dreaming again, and everything just started, it's crazy. Everything just started coming back to me, but it's just crazy when even just me thinking about that now, how like when you around certain people, that will affect your shine in a sense. You know what I'm saying? And then when you don't realize that it's affecting your shine, next thing you know, you gone. You know what I'm saying? It just took the life force out of you, and they over there cheesing and shit, and you over there looking depleted. Hell no. Hell no. Them parasites. Hold on, but let me get back on topic. But yeah, so I feel like if I want to just bring it back in, because I feel like I've been just talking, but let me bring it back in. My journey, that really kickstarted leaving that toxic relationship, finding the courage to choose me, because for the longest, when I think about who I was in that relationship, I was very naive. I was looking for love outside of me. I feel like I was always chasing something and chasing or trying to fulfill this void. And it was just taking me from one bad situation to another, and it started like, when you're in a loop, sometimes when you're in a loop, you don't know you're in a loop. And then by the time you realize you're in a loop, you're like, how I get out of here? And then that discouragement, you get discouraged, and then it's just easier to be here. And then it gets to that point where it's like, hold up, what you gonna do? Because this loop is uncomfortable, change is uncomfortable, but which one you gonna choose? Which dis-ease are you going to choose in order to get to the other side? I'd rather be uncomfortable with change and I don't know, but I'm just trusting this path and get to the other side than be in a loop where I know I'm uncomfortable. I know there's no, it's what they say, insanity. And no. So that was a pivotal moment where, taking it back. So basically that was like I was telling y'all about the beginning of my journey and my gifts at the same time. Yeah. But it all came together. So I wanted to read a poem from 2017. And that's another thing too. Like, I ain't wrote no poetry in a minute. I ain't wrote no song, in a minute. And after I finally had the courage to leave and stuff and choose me, I started writing again. And this poem really reflects where I was afterwards. So this is called Surface from Ripping Out the Layers book. Okay. It's called Surface. Different moments feeling alone, seeking security in my life. Darkness, consumed, taking over. Confusion, the ruler, leading me to what's not right. Exhaustion, taking over. I need healing in my life. I need time. I need understanding. Comprehension of my words. Comprehension of what's real. Because from time to time, it feels like I can't deal. Wounds and scars flood my body, invading my thoughts. Crying out, no one hears the cry in my voice, so faint. Because I shadow it with visions of smiles, of what's untrue, with such glee that's looking at me. Happy is what I appear to be. Happy is what I appear to be. Surface. Ooh. When I think about that, my reflection of that poem is, on the surface, at that point, I was making it seem like I was okay, and I was not okay. And I didn't even know how to reach out. When you going through a toxic cycle, or when you in an abusive relationship and stuff like that, sometimes it's that shame, that, embarrassment, that who do I talk to? People always talk about what they would do in certain situations, and it's just so many moving parts. And so on the surface, it's like I was wearing a mask. And so that poem, I feel like that poem was an introduction, especially being able to write, was an introduction for my soul to express, and for me to be able to read it back and be like, oh shit, this is really what's going on. A way to be honest with myself. Yeah, that Surface. Even reading that now was just like, damn. And then I called it Surface. And that's why I be like, I'm so mindful about how I treat people, whether, how they treat me or not. But I'm at the point now where my boundaries, shit, don't play with me. But I had to build up to get to this point, because I have such a big heart, and I'm open, that I used to just be open. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, let me help you. Come here. Oh, what? I got you. You know what I'm saying? But in opening myself up like that with no boundaries was very dangerous. Dangerous for me, dangerous for my soul. It wasn't, and a lot of people, I find a lot of people like that. They just open themselves up with no boundaries, and then when they get all depleted, they mad at everybody else. You know what I'm saying? They like resentful for everybody else, but nobody was forcing them to do all that. Yeah, so that is just a little bit of what really kickstarted my self-love journey. And I'm gonna do another video about like the before, the before, and then where I'm at now, because like the before is very important too. When I talk to people like my clients and stuff, they come to me with an issue, but when we start unpacking it, we find the root. I'm big about getting to the root. And when we look at the root goes way back. So it's like a lot of times we have to look at the deeper reasoning on why we do the things that we do. You know what I'm saying? Be curious about yourself on why do I, what I'm saying, pop off the way I pop off. You know what I'm saying? Some people, they be like, well, this is how I am, boom, boom, boom. But what's under all of that, But all right, until next time, remember to choose you. Choose you today. You know what I'm saying? Show up and show out for you today. You know what I'm saying? Don't let nobody like steal your shine. No. But for real, choose you today. Show up and show out for you today. And until next time, thank you. Hey.